What is happening, everybody? Welcome to episode number 2 of The Logical Take. If you haven't checked out episode 1 yet, please go ahead and do so. And make sure to like and subscribe. Today's episode is about gender. The gender revolution that's taking place in today's society. Let's start with what gender is, or better yet, what has gender always been? Right? Gender has always been a synonym of the word sex as it relates to male or female. And notice how when I said sex, I had to indicate that it was in relation to male or female. Right? I had to give that context because the word sex has multiple meanings. The word gender does not have multiple meanings, right? The word gender, we all know it has to do in relation to male or female. And that is why, even though they were both have always been synonyms, the word gender was the one that was more widely used because we didn't have to add context to it, right? Everyone knew what we were talking about when we said the word gender. It had to do with male or female. And that's what the word gender has always meant. You know, your gender meant whether you are male or female. But now, some people are trying to say that the word gender means something else. The word gender apparently now doesn't mean whether you're male or female. It means what you feel as it relates to male or female, or something else that isn't male or female. So you could be a man, but if you feel like a woman, that means you're a woman. But not just that, if you feel like you're somewhere in between a man or a woman, then you're somewhere in between it. Or if you feel like you're both at the same time, then that means you're both at the same time. That's what your gender is. And they've created labels for these feelings. Or if they don't feel like a man or a woman, then they're non-binary or gender neutral. If they feel like both at the same time, they're two-spirit. Basically what they're saying is that gender isn't, male or female. Gender is a spectrum. It's fluid, and you can land anywhere on that spectrum. Anywhere. You could be anything, and it all depends on how you feel, right? So just think about that for a second. They're saying that gender is no longer whether you're a male or a female. It's this feeling that you have about how masculine or feminine you are, which is pretty funny and ironic because that community this whole time has been talking about how gender roles shouldn't exist. It shouldn't matter if boys like pink or play with Barbies or girls like trucks and play with G.I. Joes. It shouldn't matter, right? Boys can have the same interests as girls and girls can have the same interests as boys, and it doesn't matter. But now they're saying just because they feel a certain way, that must mean they're a woman. If a man feels feminine, that must mean he's a woman. Because apparently a man can't be feminine anymore. Or a woman can't be masculine anymore. Right? They're literally contradicting themselves. Before, boys can wear dresses. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. Men can wear dresses. Why shouldn't men be able to wear dresses? But now, if they feel like if they feel like wearing dresses, if they feel a little feminine, then that must mean they're a woman. Who cares about their biology? Who cares about what they were born as? Who cares about every single thing that, implies that they're actually a man? But just because they feel feminine, that must mean they're a woman. That's what they're saying. How does that make any sense? You're basically saying just because you feel feminine, you're a woman. Or just because you feel masculine, you're a man. That's nonsensical. That's just a feeling, you know? It's perfectly fine for there to be feminine men or masculine women. It's okay. What's wrong with that? That doesn't mean you're the other gender, right? Or you're neither because you can't figure out which one you feel more like. Like, what are you guys talking about? This makes zero sense. And let's say we go along with it. We go along with this idea that gender is fluid, it's on a spectrum, you could be anywhere on it. Well, guess what? That actually makes gender extremely unimportant. It makes it completely unimportant. It makes it so unimportant that it makes no sense for you to go around announcing that you're non binary. Call me they. Don't call me him or her. Call me they. Call me them. Those are my pronouns. Because I'm like neither male or female. I'm like somewhere in between. What? So that just makes it completely. If you can land anywhere on the spectrum, then there's no point, right? Do we go around announcing where on the spectrum of happiness we are? Where on the spectrum of depression we are? Height and weight are also fluid, right? You can be anywhere on the weight spectrum, right? You could be 138.9, you could be 139.0, you could be 139.1276. It doesn't matter, right? Because it's fluid. That's why you don't see people asking for height or weight on an application or on online forums. They don't ask whether you're 5'10, 5'10.1, 5'10.2, 5'10 and a half. They don't ask that because height and weight are fluid, right? You can be anywhere on that spectrum, and it doesn't matter because of that, right? Because you could be literally anywhere on there. It just makes it not matter, makes it unimportant. On job applications, do they ask about your level of happiness? Happiness is fluid too. It's on a spectrum. Have people created labels for where they are on the extroverted introverted spectrum? I'm a semi-extrovert. I'm mini introverted. I mean, these are feelings. They're fluid. They're on a spectrum. You're not going to have 8 billion options, and create, 600 labels to identify people at certain weights or heights. So why the hell are you doing that with gender? Why do I see forms that have 12 different genders on there? Gender neutral, non-binary, two-spirit. Two-spirit's the funniest to me. You're constantly going in between male or female at the same time. What? Dude, if gender is fluid and it's on a spectrum, there should be an infinite amount of genders. So why the hell are you only showing 8 or 9 on these forums? It's completely unimportant then. If it is fluid, and you could be anywhere on the spectrum. You could be 83% male and 17% female, or 81.7% male or 18.3% female. You could be anywhere. So it actually makes it unimportant. It doesn't matter. Stop announcing it and stop creating labels for it then. Stop using the word gender, because the word gender has to do with male or female. It doesn't have to do with what you're feeling. Okay? So use another word if you want. Call it something else. But don't call it gender, because that's not what gender is. Don't just hijack another word and change its definition. Gender means whether you're male or female. And now there's going to be some idiots out there that are going to be like, well, actually, there's more than just male or female. There's hermaphrodites and there's XXY chromosomes. Well, no shit. There's exceptions to everything in life. There are 2 genders, just like, humans have 2 legs. You think there's some idiot out there going to be like, How dare you say humans have two legs? My great grandfather lost a leg in Vietnam. You tell me he doesn't exist? You think any moron's gonna tell me that if I say humans have two legs? Obviously, there's humans that have one leg. There's humans that are born with one leg. But that doesn't mean that humans don't have two legs. The characteristic of human beings is that they have two legs, two arms, two eyes, one nose. Just because there are some exceptions in life for something doesn't make that the standard, right? The exceptions can happen for whatever reason. You know, there could be some chromosomal abnormalities that cause there to be something other than an XX or XY, you know, or cause some people to have both genitalia, you know. But human beings, actually all animals here on this earth, are either male or female, right? I mean, that's the whole point of life. That's how life even exists, you know. A male from a certain species mates with a female from that same species, and they create offspring. And then when the offspring mature and they become sexually mature, then the same thing happens. Circle of life. The male mates with the female of the same species. I mean, that's literally the point of life. That's how life exists. That is how life exists. I mean, that's how the world works, guys. Males mating with females of the same species. I mean, it's not that hard to understand. And it's all these kids, these young kids that are going around and, you know, creating and causing confusion among everybody else because they're so confused about who they are. You know, they're so insecure about what they feel that they're starting to create labels for themselves. You know, maybe they're just looking for attention. I don't know, but it makes no sense. It has to be looking, you know, this is the exact behavior when people are looking for attention. You know, they're just confused. Maybe they feel a little weird, and you know they want to feel accepted, so they're just trying to, you know, create these labels so people feel sorry for them or they stand out, and you know, and now they have this group of people who are part of the LGBT community who accept everyone. You know, I don't know what their reason is, but I mean, those are some of my theories, because otherwise it just, it makes no sense. But they're actually not even the big problem. I mean, these kids, you know, they have issues, you know, but it's the others that are encouraging this behavior. You know, they're that are trying to teach this as fact, who are the problem. Like, what are you guys doing? I mean, this makes no sense at all. And I understand the empathy part, right? Every single person on this planet deserves empathy, deserves equal rights, deserves to be treated kindly, right? Everyone is equal, right? No one should face any disrespect or discrimination, right? No one. It doesn't matter how weird they are, how strange they are, what kind of, you know, disabilities or delusions they suffer from. It doesn't matter. Treat everyone kindly. Be respectful to everyone. But let's not sacrifice logic and reason while doing so, while being empathetic. Let's not be so empathetic that we're just tossing science and logic and reason to the side. No, let's also make sense, guys. You know, I mean, these kids, I mean, transgender people should be offended by these kids. Transgender people actually have a disorder, right? They have gender identity disorder, also known as gender dysphoria, where they cannot help feel so strongly as if they were supposed to be the other gender, right? So strongly that it interferes with their everyday life. They end up going to see a psychiatrist, and it's so troubling for them that they end up getting gender reassignment surgery. I mean, this is a real issue. This is a real problem that they have. And here are the kids that are just making up new genders by the day just because they feel a little bit different. I mean, this is offensive to transgender people. Transgender people should not be supporting these kids. These kids are making a mockery of transgender people. This isn't funny. And like I said, the worst thing about it is society accepting this as fact, incorporating it into everything. But worst of all, incorporating it into education, children's education, teaching this BS in schools, in cartoons. Like, why are we confusing them? Why are we discussing this? We can teach kids to be nice to everyone, that everyone is different in some way or another, and be kind to everyone. But we don't have to confuse them and talk about this stuff at such an early age. But the worst of the worst, who is the worst of the worst as it relates to this issue? It's the damn corporations. Particularly the health and science organizations. One example, the World Health Organization, supposed to be a prominent health and science organization. They were pressured to say that transgender people do not have a mental illness. What? What? So depression, if you're excessively sad, is a mental illness. Anorexia is a mental illness, but being transgender isn't. A man being so convinced that he's actually a woman, so troubled that he needs to get gender reassignment surgery, who's suffering from this delusion, is not mentally ill? What? I mean, first of all, this implies that people think that mental illness makes someone inferior, which is disgusting to me, because they are so against transgender people being labeled as mentally ill. It implies that they feel people who are mentally ill are inferior, which is bullshit. Nobody's inferior. Everybody has some sort of mental illness. Shit, I have OCD. I'm a little mentally ill myself. Everyone is suffering from something. Okay, so no one is inferior or superior to anyone. It is so obvious that transgender people are suffering from a mental illness. Look at anorexic people. No matter what, no matter how their body looks, to them, when they look in the mirror, they just look bad. They feel fat, and they starve themselves and just continue to lose more and more weight, till they're almost looking like a skeleton. It's a mental illness, right? And the World Health Organization acknowledges that. They suffer from some type of delusion. It's the same goddamn thing for transgender people. It doesn't have to do with weight, it has to do with their gender. It's a delusion, right? And they can't help it. It's a mental illness. But you are so scared of society, of them taking away your sponsorships, of them canceling you, that you're pressured into saying whatever offends them the least, changing definitions to satisfy PC culture. That is pathetic. Shame on the World Health Organization. Shame on you guys. We're supposed to trust you when it comes to science and health information. But now you're just bending over to the left, to the liberals who threaten to cancel people for every little reason. You're a prominent organization that people need to trust, and now you're just coming up with conclusions to satisfy a sensitive and easily offended group of people. The American Medical Association recently said that gender doesn't need to be on birth certificates. What? Obviously, to please transgender people who have transitioned and, they don't like seeing their biological gender on the birth certificates. When you're born, the gender is one of the most important factors. You take down your height, your weight, and your gender. These biological factors. I mean, what are you guys doing, man? You guys are health and science organizations. We're supposed to trust you guys. Stop being pressured by a small group of foolish people who are trying to hijack society, who are trying to censor society. I mean, we don't even have freedom of speech anymore. We can't even speak the truth without fearing for our jobs, without fear of being canceled. And I know some fools are going to say, well, freedom of speech isn't the same thing as freedom from consequences. No, you idiot. Freedom of consequence, that makes no sense. According to your definition, freedom of speech just means the ability to speak, just say words. The freedom to just say words out of your mouth. Every single goddamn human being on the planet has freedom of speech then. No, freedom of speech means being able to speak your thoughts and feelings and opinions and beliefs without suffering consequences for it. Otherwise, it's not really free speech, is it? If I say something, then boom, there goes my job. That's not really free speech. Go ahead and come up with some dumb excuse or whatever you want, but that's not free speech. Okay? Again, remember, I'm saying treat everybody equally. Treat everyone equally, with respect. Like, if there's a transgender person who used to be Bob and now his name is Martha, when you're speaking to this person, say Martha. If there was a Michael and he changed his name to Paul, no one's going to have a problem calling him Paul now, right? So, same thing. That person just changed their name from Bob to Martha. Now, when you're talking to someone else, about Bob, and you refer to Bob as Bob, or you refer to Bob as a him, then Bob should not be offended. Try to understand this, my transgender friends. I understand that you believe that you're a woman, but that doesn't mean everyone else does. For us, you are your biological gender. That's who you are to us. That's what we believe. Why are you trying to force your belief onto us? I mean, the liberals are the ones that are supposed to preach tolerance, right? But now you guys are being the most intolerant. If any opinion differs from you guys, then automatically that person is a bigot. A racist, a bigot, homophobic, transphobic. Just because their opinion differs. And the funny thing is, Most of the opinions that we have are fact. They're actually true science, not this pseudoscience BS that you guys are trying to preach to everybody. Gender is like a feeling, it's fluid, it's on a spectrum, you could be anywhere on it that you want, you could make any labels for any gender you want. That's BS. Saying a man is a woman and then expecting everybody else to go along with it. My son thinks he's a dinosaur sometimes. So should I just go along with it? Should I now start telling him that, okay, it's fine, it's okay to be a dinosaur, you are a dinosaur, and then go tell everybody else my son actually is a dinosaur? And then maybe start a transitioning process, figure out how we can add a tail. No. Kids have all kinds of crazy ideas and, a wild imagination. It is child abuse for you to start hormone therapy on your little child, for you to encourage them to transition, to be transgender. It's child abuse. Wait until they're an adult and they can actually make their own sound judgments. And for the love of God, please stop taking away everyone else's freedom of speech. Stop being so goddamn intolerant of other people's views and beliefs. And you kids, 10 years from now, you're going to realize how stupid you were. Everybody does, right? Every 10 years, people realize how dumb they were 10 years before that. This happens especially in your 20s and 30s. You guys make no sense at all. If gender is fluid and on a spectrum, that makes it completely unimportant, so you shouldn't be going around announcing it to everyone. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm non-binary. No, shut up, nobody cares. What are you even talking about? Okay, you're either a male or a female. That's it, that's how the world works. You can be a feminine male or a masculine female, it doesn't matter. But gender is whether you're a male or a female. All those other feelings that you have, call it something else. All right, just stop acting like this, stop behaving like this, and all the corporations out there, shame on you guys again. Where's the integrity? Be honest. Be accurate. Don't just bend over to a small group of the population that is easily offended about every little thing. Okay, and the rest of us, the people who agree with me, the people who agree with actual science, who believe in actual science, right? Who aren't mindless sheep and just go along with whatever is popular in society. Who like fact and logic. Who don't like logic, reason, and fact to be diluted or corrupted by emotions and feelings. All of you guys need to stand up, need to fight back, and do it in a calm and respectable way. Don't go crazy and wild and racist and, give people a reason to cancel you or fire you. Be logical, make sense, and just fight back, stand up. Don't just succumb to society. We gotta stop being pressured by the small group of delusional people who are intolerant. I'll say it one more time. Treat everyone equally. Everybody's equal. Everyone deserves equal rights. But let's not sacrifice logic and reasoning for emotion. Emotion clouds judgment. You've all heard that before. People have murdered out of love, which is a positive emotion. you add emotion to anything, it makes it make less sense. Okay? When you debate, when you make decisions, try to incorporate as less emotion as possible. That's how you know you'll make the right decision, or you're making the right argument. You're making the most sense. All right, I hope this makes sense to everybody. I hope people hear my call to stand up and fight back against this delusional minority that's trying to take over the world using children's education and the entertainment industry, movie and TV shows. I mean, we see this crap everywhere now. So let's speak out. Don't be afraid. You know, know your limits and what not to say. And just try to say what you can and try to fight back. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I get a little passionate about this topic because it's very disturbing to me what's happening, especially as it relates to future generations. But, well, if you have any questions or thoughts about this, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, and hope you enjoyed it. We're going to have another interesting topic for episode number 3. So stay tuned, guys, and until next time.